Now, India is slowly but steadily raising the heat on Pakistan. The Narendra Modi's government's efforts at this stage seem to be largely to take steps to isolate Pakistan. Today, the Modi government blocked several Pakistani YouTube channels, including those of Pakistan's leading news channels like Jio, Sama and Dawn. India has already revoked visas granted to Pakistani citizens. And the biggest step that has been taken is the suspension of the Indus water treaties, holding it in abeyance. The strength of the high commissions also were earlier brought down to 30 from 55. The MEA continues to brief foreign envoys on the Pahalgam terror attack and its aftermath. The big questions, of course, and I want to raise these right at the very outset tonight. Are the moves that the Modi government is making enough to really make Pakistan act on terror? Is India's crackdown at the moment more optics, or is it substance on the ground? Is anything really changing on the ground? And the real crucial question, will the Pakistan army state ever give up on funding sponsored terror aimed at India? And has Pakistan pushed itself into a corner with this latest terror attack? Could India exercise a military option, or will it stick to diplomatic options? Those are questions I will raise with two special guests. Today, we're going to have on television, the first time since the attack took place, two clear voices from India and Pakistan, experienced top diplomats. Vivek Karju, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, someone who's been an ambassador in Afghanistan, has written extensively on the region, and Abdul Basit, former High Commissioner of Pakistan to India, who's also tracked this region extensively. I appreciate both of you joining us on the show tonight. Abdul Basit, are you willing to accept at the very outset that Pakistan has much to answer for what happened in Baisaran? That this is not just an occasion where Pakistan can engage in familiar denial. This is now a time where Pakistan must accept at some stage its role in sponsoring terror.
Thank you very much, Rajiv, for having me on your show. I think it is for India to come clean. If it has any evidence, credible evidence, then it should present to Pakistan, or if it is not willing to present it to Pakistan, then it should accept some kind of an international investigation into the incident. I do not know why India is shying away from accepting this, which clearly means that India does not have anything to prove that Pakistan is behind this attack. That's why in Pakistan is the general viewpoint is that it is a false flag thing. It is an act which was done by the deep state in India. So if India has anything, it should be presented to.
Yes. Mr. Basit, you're calling for evidence. Before I come to Mr. Karju, let me give you a sense of history. When Kargil happened, Pakistan denied the role of the North Light Infantry. You were not even willing to take the bodies of your own soldiers from the icy climes of Kargil. When Mumbai happened, 26/11 happened in Mumbai, Pakistan's first claim was we have nothing to do with it, till finally, because Kasab was caught and was linked with his place in Pakistan, you had no option in a way but to accept the role. You will recall the same thing has happened when Pulwama happened, when Pathankot happened. How long is Pakistan going to live, sir, under this veil of denial? I mean, surely a time must come when you must accept, as indeed did your defense minister only the other day in an interview to Sky News, accept that you have been allowing such elements to flourish in your country.
Now, I think your facts are incomplete. As a matter of fact, on the Mumbai attack, if I may recall your audience, it was India which hurriedly executed Kasab on 21st November 2012, denying a good opportunity to the Pakistan Judicial Commission to interrogate him, cross-examine him. So he was executed in a hurry. Similarly, on Uri or on Pulwama, India never shared any evidence. Even in the case of Pahalgam, I do not know, even Indian media, how you guys can accept this, that within minutes you start blaming Pakistan without a shred of evidence. It really surprises me at times that a country like India could stoop that low. in order to, I mean, with an objective to keep hammering Pakistan.
Sir, you are challenging my narrative.
Really
you will
surprised.
recall we even allowed the ISI to come after the Pathankot terror attack in 2016, and 6 months later we had Uri. The point is, sir, this is not one instance. Your denials, your denials or trying to attack India in this manner is not going to cut ice. Surely there must be some attempt made to accept the reality.
I'm surprised, during those incidents, both on 2nd January 2016, Pathankot incident, and then Uri in September 2016, I was in India. When it comes to Pathankot, you would remember that we had filed an FIR in Pakistan just on the basis of some incomplete information which was provided to us by the National Security Advisor or by the Indian government. But then our team came to India. I was in India at that point in time. And believe you me, our team was not allowed to even cross-examine the SP who claimed that his car was hijacked and his car was used to go or to enter into the Pathankot air base. So, and then immediately after our special investigation team's visit, India started asking for a reciprocal visit. Even then I said that in such matters, you do not invoke reciprocity, for heaven's sake. The crime scene is in India.
The crime scene is in India. The criminals are in Pakistan. Sir, I've heard you. Let Vivek Kaju respond. I want to give equal time. Let Vivek Kaju now. Vivek Kaju, you're hearing from Abdul Basit the familiar Pakistan line. That where is the evidence? Show us the evidence. Allow a probe to take place. Is this a delaying tactic? Is this Pakistan now using deniability to buy time?
Rajdeep, first of all, permit me to say that anyone who says that this terrible incident or terrible terrorist attack in Pahalgam was a false flag operation has a sick mind. Anyone who repeats that has a sicker mind. I deeply regret that someone who's held such a senior position in the Pakistan Foreign Service, who almost made it to the Foreign Secretary's position, and who's extremely bitter that he did not. If you read his book, his bitterness comes through. And I think his bitterness on India has always been there. Should, as to use his words, stoop so low as to say that this could be a false flag operation. I think he himself should introspect and apologize for these words. These are atrocious words. I've never heard a senior diplomat, a responsible diplomat, say these words. No wonder his prime minister thought it fit to, after offering him the foreign secretaryship, to deny him that. Now I understand why this was done, because of the words that he's used on this television today. I'm sorry if I'm being personal, but what he has said, no Indian can accept. Rajdeep, please ask him to apologize. We will proceed further only after he apologizes.
Yeah, I will come back to you without making it personal, Mr. Kaju, but I want Mr. Basit, do you want to at least accept to use a word like false flag? There are 26 innocents, sir, who have died. Please understand, they have died. These are non-combatants who have died. Unlike in Pathankot, here there are non-combatants, and you say it's a false flag operation, sir. Let's start. Let's at least have a reasonable dialogue, sir. The reason I brought you two together to have a reasonable dialogue. But if you start this debate by saying it's a false flag operation, then you are one of the senior most diplomats of your country, sir.
Since Mr. Kaju got personal, so that in itself betrays what kind of frustration India is having today.
There's not frustration. This is revealing you. False flag operation. How can I accept that?
Very, very kind of you. I would not really enter into a slanging match because that is not my style of doing things. I said what I strongly felt, that
No,
it
sir,
was a false
I
flag
think
operation.
it would
But
be
if you
at
have-
least to
if
accept.
you have,
Just a
if
minute,
you-
Mr. Karju, I'll deal with this. I at least accept that
But-
making such comments at a sensitive time like this, Mr. Basit, are not going to help matters. Why not at least say your point is taken that you want an inquiry? That's Pakistan's position. But then to
No,
call it a
but-
false flag,
but
what information? What is your
absolutely.
proof of a false flag operation, sir? Give me
I
one
would
proof.
say that because immediately after the attack or the incidents, the way you start blaming Pakistan, what else does it show?
So there was a group, the Revolutionary Force, a Lashkar outfit, which went public and took responsibility. It's only after that there was an uproar over it that it tried to suddenly cover its tracks. Let's be very clear, sir. There are enough intelligent inputs. There are detailed inputs that are out there now, which reflect Pakistan-backed Lashkar being involved.
Please share with us, share with the international community. If you have irrefutable evidence, share with us. Why are you avoiding to share that with us? It's incomprehensible for me.
Okay, let me bring in Mr. Karju. Now, Mr. Karju, this point of sharing of information, we've seen it after 2008 Mumbai, we've seen it after Pathankot, after Uri, after Pulwama. Go back in time to the train attacks, 2006. Go back to what happened in Parliament. Constantly share information. What should India's response be to those in Pakistan who say share information, have a global neutral inquiry?
I say, Rajdeep, this is not a serious observation. This is not a serious demand. For the last 35 years, the world has witnessed and acknowledged Pakistan's role in terror across the LOC, across the international border and elsewhere in India. It is no secret. Pakistan has been on the FATF list. Why? Because of its role in terror financing, because of the tanzeems that it exists on its soil. And it is terribly ironic that these are some of the tanzeems that Pakistan raised have now turned their guns against the Pakistan state. So Pakistan claims that it is a victim of terror. It is a victim of terror. It is the perpetrator of terror. The fact is that the Pakistani army has made the use of terror as part of its strategic doctrine. And whenever an army does so, it uses terror. It has to use terror. So therefore, whenever my Pakistani friends say, show us the proof, I tell them I don't need to show you the proof. It is there in 35 years of experience, not only of India, of the world.
Will the international community, Mr. Karju, also ask for proof? Do you believe that there are countries, China or today is backing Pakistan's stand?
Pakistan is a vassal state of China. Naturally, the Chinese will support a vassal state. Let's not go there. I don't take the Chinese seriously. Everyone else has accepted, yes, the Pakistani groups are involved in terror. The Pakistani groups and supported by the Pakistani intelligence agencies use terror as an instrument of policy. I think this charade of giving us evidence, give us evidence. In Mumbai, what does Mr. Basit have to say? Mr. Khosa, perhaps one of the most celebrated police officers in Pakistan, has written extensively about his investigations, about the involvement of the Lashkar-e-Toiba. I'm sure Mr. Basit has read those. If he hasn't, I would invite his attention to read them in the Dawn, where he published those articles about the Lashkar. And he said, just 1 second, yes. Mr. Khosa had the honesty, and I must applaud his integrity, when faced with people like Mr. Basit, to have said, yes, we tracked down the engines, we tracked down where these people were trained, we tracked down where the boat was launched from. What does he have to say to that?
What do you also, Mr. Basit, have to say to Khwaja Asif, your defense minister, saying Pakistan has harbored and funded terror organizations. It was doing the West's dirty work for decades. This is your own defense minister saying it, Mr. Basit.
But that was in the context of a one war, and the way both the US and perhaps to a certain extent Pakistan, we were fighting at that stage, the erstwhile Soviet Union. So that has nothing to do with what is happening in India.
Sir, but since then, post,
It has
sir, with due
everything to
regard,
do
since
with
then,
what is
post
happening in
2008,
But
Zakir Rahman Lakhvi was prosecuted.
I'm coming-
Since then, you
I'm
had
coming to
Kasab
that.
who was caught red-handed. Are you saying none of that existed?
Rajdeep, in India, I have heard too much about the Mumbai attack and why Pakistan is not concluding the trial which is taking place in Pakistan. The fact of the matter is, and I do not know if Ambassador Kaju knows about it, it is India which has been delaying cooperation with us. I remember that our then Foreign Secretary wrote to his Indian counterpart in September 2015 about some information which was to be provided by India. It took exactly 1 year for the Indian Foreign Secretary, then Mr. Jaishankar, to write back to Pakistan in September 2016. So you can imagine the sincerity and seriousness of purpose on the part of India. In my own view, India would never like this trial to be concluded because it got a very good talking point to keep hammering Pakistan with. So rest assured that
Sincerity, with
Pakistan
due
is
regard,
willing.
sir, with due regard, sincerity of purpose would have come if you had actually handed over a Zakir Rahman Lakhvi.
No,
Now you've got Tahammud Rana sent back by a US court, no less, for his involvement in 2611. How long, sir? I will ask this before I move on. How long will you all live in deniability? You've got US courts now prosecuting your citizens, sending them back to India for their involvement in 2611. You have a Kasab who was caught red-handed, and you're going to come on this program and say India must provide evidence, sir.
Absolutely. How can you really complete a trial without hard evidence, irrefutable evidence? After all, if Pakistan were to complete this trial, we need active Indian cooperation, which is not available to us, unfortunately. I mean, you can say anything, but I know the factual position. I have been dealing with all these matters. So I'm not a person who would, just say things for the sake of it.
Okay,
I'm telling you the inside facts.
Okay, you're telling me Pakistan's position. I want to turn for a moment and then get you, Ambassador Kaju, to respond. Asim Munir. Many believe what happened in Baisaran is a direct link to what Asim Munir, the Pakistani army chief, said a couple of weeks ago. Listen into what he said, and I want Ambassador Kaju, you to bring us the chronology which you have written in a recent article. First, listen to Asim Munir.
पाकिस्तान की कहानी अपने बच्चों को जो है आपने जरूर सुनानी है ताकि वो पाकिस्तान की कहानी ना भूलें. Well, our forefathers, they thought that we are different from the Hindus in every possible aspect of life. Our religion is different. Our customs are different. Our traditions are different. Our thoughts are different. Our ambitions are different. That was the foundation of the two-nation theory that was laid there. That we are two nations. We are not one nation. So because of that, our forefathers, they struck. पाकिस्तान की कहानी अपने बच्चों को जो है आपने जरूर सुनानी है ताकि वो पाकिस्तान की कहानी ना भूलें. Well, our forefathers, they thought that we are different from the Hindus in every possible aspect of life.
Vivek Kaju, what do you make out, given what General Munir said, then the attack in Baisaran? Give us what you believe is the chronology of events, and then I'll get Ambassador Basit to respond.
Look, for completely fictitious reasons, I think the Pakistani army believed that India was somehow involved in the Jafar Express attack. After that, I think General Asim Munir came out on 16th April with these comments when he was addressing the overseas Pakistan. Now, in my memory, and Ambassador Basit can correct me, in my memory, while Mr. Jinnah used such expressions as Asim Munir expressed about Hindus and Muslims to whip up a passion for Pakistan, especially in areas where there was no such passion for Pakistan. After 1947, I do not recollect any Pakistani leader of note or any army chief, even while maintaining the foundational principle of Pakistan, which is the two-nation theory, ever referring in such a communal manner to Hindus and Muslims. Second, Mr. Jinnah himself on the 11th of August 1947 gave a speech in which he tried to distance himself from all the remarks that he had made earlier about Hindus and Muslims. It's a speech which the Pakistani authorities for many a long year tried to, put in cold storage, because it was a speech where he tried to project that Pakistan would be a kind of a state where everyone would be allowed to practice his religion. And he said, importantly, your religion has nothing to do with the business of state, which was totally contrary to the two-nation theory and to the formation and foundation of Pakistan. That is the 11th August speech of Mr. Jinnah. But now, for the first time, Asim Munir is playing a game that is not only dangerous, it not only is divisive, it is offensive and provocative for India. But I would venture to suggest to Mr. Bassett to think very deeply the full connotations of what they are trying, the seeds that they are trying to sow. Stability, my one last point, the stability of India is, of course, will always be there. India is a secular state. It does not discriminate between citizen and citizen on the basis of religion. The Chief Justice of India recently, in a case, Rajdeep, if you recollect, when it was pointed out to him that if such things happen, then he won't be able to hear this case because he happens to be a Hindu, told a senior advocate of the government, a senior counsel of the government, that when we sit on this chair, we have no religion. That is what India is. That is the constitution of India. And here, the army chief of Pakistan is talking of Hindus and Muslims in this day and age, the digital age. What is he trying to prove? And last point, when it has never been done before, in my memory, no army chief, even while reiterating his commitment to the two-nation theory, has ever gone down this Hindu-Muslim road.
Let me take that precise point you made now to Abdul Basit. Abdul Basit, the fact is, from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto saying 1,000 cuts, to bleed India, to now what Asim Munir says, there's a clear path that Pakistan wants to destabilize India and divide India in your perception of a two-nation theory. Kashmir becomes, to quote General Munir, a jugular vein. Now, is this the language to be used in the 21st century, and then to expect India again to believe that Pakistan is fully innocent when 2 weeks after that, people are killed for their religious identity?
First of all, Adib, I am really surprised that despite the fact that today's India is now closely wedded to the idea of Hindutva, and you are still calling India a secular state. What is happening to Indian Muslims? We have just seen the Waqf Amendment Act, the new law, which is absolutely discriminatory against the very constitution articles, I think 14, 25, 26 of the Indian Constitution. And
Yes,
the
sir,
way
but our
Muslims are being
parliament is freely,
mobbed, lynched.
just to add, sir, sir, our parliament is freely debating the issue. The issue has gone to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is hearing it. And please understand, Indian Muslims have come out on the street with
I
black
know.
bands to protest what happened in Baisaran. So, you see, this seems to be the attempt. No one here in this program is going to say that there may not be flaws in our country. But the fact is, in India, there are checks and balances. Your country,
So,
unfortunately, sir, the army seems to have a country. Most countries have an army. Pakistan's army has a country. How do you justify Amir Muni's remarks? Tell me that. How do you justify Amir Muni's remarks that Hindus and Muslims cannot coexist?
It has become a now kind of hackneyed formulation which is used again and again. But so be it. As far as the two-nation theory is concerned, our army chief did not say anything new. And if you go a little back, into the history, it was Mr. Savarkar who came up with this idea of Hindutva and separating Hindus from other religions, from Muslims and from Christians. So actually the two-nation theory started with Mr. Savarkar. If you are to blame anyone, you should be blaming Mr. Savarkar for that. And that obviously gave
Sir, is that your justification for General Munir?
No, it's
I
not
am
my
asking you to explain General Munir's statements. Please explain to me, as a rational mind, what General Munir is trying to say.
Rajdip, the army chief did not say anything new. That, as Ambassador Kaju very rightly pointed out, that was the whole rationale for making Pakistan, very fundamental foundation of Pakistan. Yes, we thought that we were a different nation, hence we wanted a separate homeland, and we got it. So what did he say which was different from the very fact that Pakistan was based, or it was created on the basis of the two-nation theory?
But sir, with due regard, and I want to move this on, therefore, to what I said just now for a moment, that the army has a country. Do you concede that your army, you today are attacking Indian secularism? That is your choice. And you claim that India has become a Hindutva country. I want to ask you a simple question. Do you accept the proposition that most countries have an army? Pakistan's army has a country. Your most popular leader, Imran Khan, today is in jail. The army decides how elections are held. How can you then deny the Pakistan army state's involvement in deciding the future of your country?
No, I would not deny that we do not have issues in Pakistan. Definitely we do. Like any other country in the world, we have our own peculiar issues. You would have your own. So that doesn't mean that nothing really is working in Pakistan. We do have a government. We do have systems working. So I would take your point to a certain extent, but we are going through difficult phases, and I'm sure in the years to come we will improve and we will have a better system of government in place. Yeah.
Let me bring that to you, Vivek Karju. The difference between India and Pakistan. We've had the army in the barracks all these years, for 75 years. We've had elections peacefully taking place, transition. Yes, we have our own flaws in our society. According to Mr. Basit, we have become a Hindutva country, and you're free to respond to that, Mr. Karju. But do you see Pakistan's army playing the real pernicious role here?
Look, the Pakistan army has always been its most important institutions. It has made and unmade political leaders. Each political leader whether it was Benazir, starting from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who was Ayub's protege, to Benazir, to Nawaz Sharif, to everyone there, to Imran Khan. They've all been proteges of the army who have crossed the army's path at some stage and have had to pay a price. So the Pakistan army is actually the controller of the destinies of Pakistan. Point one. Point two, Raj, is that in no condition does the Pakistan army allow anyone else to intervene in the security policies of Pakistan or important foreign policy issues of Pakistan, and certainly not its India policy. And Mr. Basit, if he is honest, he will agree with this. In fact, some of his
But
colleagues...
how should India respond when you hear Pakistani guests coming on the program, sir, and saying the rise of Hindutva politics is pushing Indian Muslims into a corner? They are using this, it seems, to create the impression of a sharp Hindu-Muslim divide on the ground. To that extent, do we also need to introspect?
I think every country at all times must introspect. 2 points here. The first, as far as, for example, the Waqf bill is concerned, you rightly observed it is before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has seemingly taken objection to some of its provisions, and those, even though Parliament has passed that bill, and it is an act now, the government has suspended those parts of the act. Now, as far as Hindutva is concerned, of course, there are people in India who are not happy with many of the policies of the present government. But the government is popularly elected. It has a mandate. Mr. Modi was elected as Prime Minister for the 3rd time. And he was not elected at the behest of the army. The army plays no roles in elections in India, unlike Pakistan. The people of India decide. And if the people of India decide on something and decide on a leader, well, he has the popular mandate as long as they want. Last point, he is obliged to act under the Constitution. If he flouts the Constitution, India's constitutional authorities and the Supreme Court in particular has time and again stood up and told, starting from Indira Gandhi to other prime ministers, that this will not stand scrutiny. Your decisions, even acts of parliament, have to go, because they are against the basic structure of the Constitution.
Mr. Karju, I take your point. Can I then come back to the present? What's happened since Baisaran, which is India tightening the screws on Pakistan, putting the Indus Water Treaty, for example, in abeyance. Now, how has Pakistan responded? Listen into what Bilawal Bhutto said, and I'll get my 2 guests to respond.
मोदी ने और उनकी हुकूमत ने ऐलान किया कि अब वो ये मुआहिदा नहीं मानते, और मैं सखर में इसी सिंधु दरिया के साथ खड़े होके भारत को कहना चाहूंगा कि सिंधु हमारा है और सिंधु हमारा रहेगा। या इस दरिया से हमारा पानी बहेगा या उनका खून बहेगा। ऐसे नहीं हो सकता, ऐसे नहीं हो सकता कि एक दिन तू उठ जाए और ये फैसला करे।
I want both my guests to respond now, and I want, hopefully, as bipartisan an opinion on that. We've got a situation at the moment, Mr. Basit, where you will understand, I hope, the rage that exists in India today. There is genuine anger. There's not just grief, there is anger. Innocent 26 Indians were killed only because of their religious identity. India holds the Indus Water Treaty in response in abeyance. What does Pakistan do? Says blood will flow if the water in any way is stopped. Do you believe that at some stage any country has every right to put pressure on the other or not?
Yes, states do put pressure on others, but if you try to cut our lifeline, then obviously you're playing with fire. Indus Water Treaty is a permanent treaty. Neither Pakistan nor India can unilaterally terminate it, nor can any party amend it. It is as simple as that. But if you are playing with our existence, with our survival, then what other option is left for Pakistan? You tell me, please. If we were
But
the
in
upper
Pakistan,
Hyperion,
with
if
due
we
regard,
had
that's
done
where
this,
if Pakistan continues to sponsor terror and believes that there are low costs for sponsoring terror, India has to increase the costs. How else is India going to respond? Are you saying India just throws up its hand and allows you to come into our country
Rajdeep,
and export terror?
for heaven's sake, this terrorism, you know, I mean, we are now tired of this narrative, frankly speaking, and so is the world as a whole, because India keeps on harping on these lame, false allegations, but provides nothing to substantiate their allegations. This is what is bothering Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, and the world at large. So I'm not talking about, focus on
So
the present situation.
the world at large, sir,
World
whether
at
it is the
large has
Financial
not-
Action Task Force, has over the years proscribed Pakistan, not India. Let's be
That
clear.
was-
When you
that-
say the world at large is tiring, the world at large is tiring of
is tired
Pak-sponsored
of
terror.
the
The world at
in
large
fact,
is tiring of
the
Pakistan's
world-
refusal to accept that it has
the
sponsored
world
terror
is
against India.
tired. The world is tired of the trite narrative which Indra is trying to build. This is what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
Now,
let me bring in Vivek Kaju on that.
if
Mr. Kaju, you're
you
hearing
let
what
me complete
Mr.
my-
Basit is saying. Is the Indus Water Treaty abeyance actually going to make a difference on the ground, given that it will take years to build the necessary dams and infrastructure? If at all we have to stop water, is that really simply optics, as I said at the start, or is it really substance?
I think, Rajdeep, permit me half a minute on this because I think it's important for your viewers to understand this. The Indus Waters Treaty is very generous to Pakistan. The substantial part of the water of the Indus river system goes to Pakistan. Why is this so? In the 1950s, if you see the literature, Pakistan's constant refrain, and in fact, that refrain was filled with fear, was that unless it has Kashmir, India may at some stage stop the waters and Pakistan will then get parched and Pakistan's existence will be threatened. It is to give Pakistan some confidence, so in the hope that it will turn a new leaf, it will stop its negativity and hostility towards India, that India agreed to give waters of the three western rivers to Pakistan. Now, under the treaty, and I've looked at the treaty as Mr. Basit has, I've dealt with it myself. Under the treaty, a certain part of waters of the western rivers are allowed to India for purposes of agriculture. Also, India is allowed to use run of the river to produce electricity. Rajdeep, over 200 projects on these rivers over the years were stopped by Pakistan. They were objected to and they could not proceed. Finally, the Manmohan Singh government decided that it will invoke the dispute resolution mechanism of the treaty. And in some cases, the dispute resolution mechanism gave an award in India's favor. At that stage, the Pakistanis started saying that the dispute resolution, I don't want to go into technicalities, but there are different routes in the dispute resolution mechanism.
No, but can we, sir, to look at the present, can we unilaterally revoke the treaty or suspend it and expect that to have any kind of effect on Pakistan's army state terror system?
Look, the fact is that this is first of all a very, very significant signal which has been sent to Pakistan and more than Pakistan to the international community that India's patience is now ended. that if the treaty has to be brought into play, it will, in any case, India has asked for a revision of the treaty because of changes. And now India has said that all treaties, all agreements are dependent on security. There is a certain premise in international law which is not expressed, but there is a premise of good behavior. A country cannot say that I will have every advantage of a treaty, but I will undermine you in every other way. If that is so, then I believe that under international law, a country has a right to defend itself. The right to defend, self-defense, is an inherent right. And if a treaty comes in that way, especially in light of the behavior, then a plausible case can be made out. In any case, there is no international judicial forum to which Pakistan can take us as far as this treaty is concerned. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, has no jurisdiction over India-Pak matters, especially
So
on a
let me-
treaty like this, and Mr. Bassett knows that.
Let me give both of you 30 seconds each or a minute each in the end to tell us what the future holds. Mr. Bassett, you know, there are already those who are telling me, why am I giving a Pakistani a space on TV? And I will tell you why, sir, and to my viewers. I believe that it is important to hear what senior diplomats and indeed officials on the other side of the border believe. And I believe that is what journalism is really about. I am a journalist here. I'm not a soldier at the army, of the army. I'm a patriot who believes at the end of the day that I stand for my country, but I'm also a journalist who believes that I must hear both sides of a story. So I'm giving you a minute, Mr. Bassett, and then I'll give you that, Mr. Karju. First you, Mr. Bassett, what does the future hold? Are you willing, even at this stage now, to accept that Baisaran was crossing a red line?
I wish you have given me the equal time, Rajdeep, but in any case, what I would say is that can India deny its hand in terrorism, many activities of terrorism in Pakistan? We had arrested Commander Kulbhushan Jadhav, and we have strong evidence of India's involvement in different terror activities in Pakistan. So if terrorism is an issue, Pakistan too has, concerns. We too have our problems vis-a-vis India. As far as the present situation is concerned, we are not in panic, unlike our Indian friends. We are cool-headed people. And when push comes to shove, if India undertakes any misadventure against Pakistan, Pakistan is fully prepared to respond to that. And I hope that sanity prevails at the end of the day. If India has any evidence against Pakistan, India can always share with us. If it is not willing to share with us, the two countries can go for an international investigation. And if India is not even willing to do that, then it is India's decision. And in my view, by suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, I fully agree with Mr. Kaju that India is allowed to use some water of the western rivers for irrigation purposes, for run-of-the-river projects, and so on and so forth. But if India goes beyond that and tries to stop the flow of water into Pakistan, then I'm afraid India is playing with fire.
Okay, we've heard the Pakistan view. Mr. Karju, a final word to you. You've heard what Mr. Bassett said. In many ways, he represents the Pakistan establishment. How, therefore, do you see the future panning out?
Let me begin by saying that the thing that I noticed was that when the army public school was attacked and there were a large number of children who died, there were candlelight vigils in India. School children mourned the deaths. I have not noticed one word of condolence from Mr. Bassett for the deaths in Baisaran throughout this program. This is not, I regret to use the word civilized behavior, point one. Not word, leave alone condemnation, not even a word of regret, not even a word of sympathy for those who died, who were killed on account of their religion. Second, as I told you, when it comes to state interest, states take interest, states act to protect their interests, and if hostility is continuously and perpetually, decade after decade after decade, shown by a neighboring state, then treaties can be looked at and can be held in abeyance. Third, the Prime Minister, in the last two cases, when there were unacceptable attacks, India took kinetic action. This was an unacceptable attack. And what did we see? A long statement from Pakistan in response to a short, crisp statement from India, in which the concluding paragraph again was a reiteration of the two-nation theory. It was totally out of place, totally unnecessary. So what was that? Reminding India that, look, we are different. We do not believe that Hindus and Muslims can live together. That is the basis of the two-nation theory. And that was not only a signal, and Mr. Bassett should note the dangers of what he is doing. I'm saying this with full responsibility. That was not only a signal to Indian Hindus, it was equally a signal to Indian Muslims. He should be conscious of the dangers of such trying to sow communal discord and disharmony in India. Because India's stability is not only important for India, it is important for the region as a whole. Not that India will ever get unstable. We are the 5th largest economy. We are on the way to being the 3rd largest economy. And where is Pakistan today? Mr. Bassett knows. He can say, yeah, these temporary problems. There are screaming headlines in the Pakistani papers. Pakistan has succeeded in getting a loan from the IMF. It has gone to the IMF for 24 times. And that is its greatest achievement, getting a loan. I rest my case.
Right. Mr. Kaju, you rest your case. Mr. Bassett, we've heard you, sir. I want to reiterate. I've got feedback, including from General Tiny Dhillon. Why would you have Pakistanis come on the show and target India? I'm very clear, sir. And to you, General Dhillon, also, I'm not a soldier in fatigues. I'm a journalist. And my journalism has taught me I will listen to the other side. And I've listened to you, Abdul Basit, and I was hoping today that you would do what Vivek Kaju said, at least express empathy and sympathy for the victims of the horrific, terrific terror attack in Baisaran. I thought that was the very least, sir, you would do. I've been sadly let down. I've been someone, I want to tell you, Mr. Basit, who for years has spoken about the need for Aman Ki Asha with Pakistan or people-to-people contact. I've been let down. I feel let down today and angry as a result. I was hoping that this face-off that we had would lead to some kind of a dialogue that would actually bridge the divide. Sadly, all we've heard is the Pakistan position even getting hardened. But I still respect you, Mr. Basit. We are in a democratic country in India where we know that we can still listen to the other side and still hold our own. I thank you, therefore, for joining us. I hope that good sense, sir, will prevail with the Pakistani establishment. And I think, Vivek Kaju, you've more than held your own and given us strongly the Indian position. We too in India must introspect, but at the same time, we too in India will unify, speak in one united voice when it comes to terror. We will not be broken by those who try to divide us between Hindus and Muslims, between Kashmiris and others. This is a united nation, and in a sense, Baisaran has united us even further